So thank you 3AI for hosting such a mega event, and it's hugely bringing forward so many AI professionals, lots of learning, and I really look forward to the other sessions. Thank you. So in this session, what I would like to present is my perspective of the emerging aspects of the risks associated and the mitigation measures to manage the risk associated with the AI and generative AI techniques. So if you see that a explosion of generative AI models, open sourcing, the NVIDIA coming up with chips which can augment, replicate so many AI models, wherein the entry barrier into AI is substantially reduced. It's an AI era which is bringing about new age AI billionaires into the table. So what is equally happening, ladies and gentlemen, is the proliferation and the fear relating to the risk associated with these AI systems. So government, politicians, economies, corporates are struggling and making sure that they're getting it wrong, which can have a huge ramification to the economic system. So what is equally happening is the emergence of AI regulations, risk regulations as we speak. The risk regulations is typically focusing not on how an AI is being built, but rather how AI is being used. So how it's being used is managed by the economy. You got to be a lot of reporting, so on and so forth. But how an AI has been built is left to the corporate organization to manage it, which means there are not many regulated systems. It's up to individual organization to bring about their own processes and systems as we speak. So AI system can be simple, can be sophisticated, complicated, it could be a prediction system, a churn, a regulatory system, but it can also be very complicated in terms of a generative AI. It could be a human in the loop, it could be a multi-model, multi-system. So AI framework is highly diverse. It could be physical, it could be virtual, impacting human users. So depending on how AI system is going to be situated, the risk associated, the managing of the risk going to accordingly vary. It's not going to be a simple straight-jacketed system of risk management processes which are there across the processes. A simple definition of generative AI and AI, which is critical for me to explain the risk associated. AI and steroids brought in the risk barrier much lower. AI systems require well-structured data, which means the way in which we manage the data on AI system is very different from a generative AI. Is much more unstructured and flexible, which means that it brings about privacy risks and so on and so forth. AI systems are single purpose. Generative AI are multi-model, multi-purpose, which also bring about the kind of complexities. The ML ops, generative AI ops is going to be substantially different. The AI is supposed to be handling the entry into AI was restricted to subject matter experts, but generative AI also requires subject matter experts, but the barrier is heavily reduced. So if you can probably see what is happening, there are about 9 broad type of risks which are there in the use of AI in terms of privacy, bias, IP configuration, third-party management, which are typical risks which are particularly elevated when it comes to an AI and generative AI management. Depending on the use case, the type of a risk will be up or down based on the type of use case you're doing. If, say, for example, I'm going to use private information of the customer when using a chatbot, using generative AI techniques, the guardrails which is required for making sure we are not having certain information, we are taking consent of the management, consent of the customer, is going to be critical. And these generative AI models have got a new risk in terms of providing wrong outputs and inaccurate results, trying to hallucinate the whole process. But what sort of guardrails we're going to have within the system to make sure that depending on my use case, how I'm going to manage the whole processes. Within the organization, we have 4 layered risk management framework in terms of data, how I'm going to manage my data, how I'm going to manage my model, the cybersecurity aspect, the third party. It's important to also decide how I'm going to manage the legal risk associated when I'm dealing with my customers. So essentially speaking, the type of risks you're managing depends on the type of structures, depends on the type of the organization structure, and also type of the use case you're currently using, which is going to be significantly different from case to case. So when it comes to managing risks, the good part, you have an uptake of a lot of these generative AI libraries to manage the risks. If you look at things in terms of fairness and bias, in terms of harmful content manipulations, you have an equally an uprise of these AI-driven AI risk modules which are trying to facilitate and manage these risks, which can be used to a very large extent. But certain risks in terms of hallucination, errors, still is kind of growing area. So that is where the human in the loop is critical. You cannot allow a system to manage by itself, making sure that the human in the loop is there using appropriate techniques, the ML ops, managing the concept drift, the data drift are currently managed so that the risk associated in terms of the AI projects are much more managed in a much more effective manner. While we focused on the AI risks, AI largely running on the cloud. So cloud, machine learning, and ML ops are three critical aspects of the AI risk management process. The cloud possesses a lot of risk in terms of management of cost, in terms of the processes, in terms of security, the business continuity planning, in terms of the application security and encryption. So what we are trying to see is basically it's a kind of a holistic, it's not a single person oriented risk management framework where we have to come together, the entire organization and the squad has to come together in managing that the board should be aligned, the C-suite should be aligned, and the management processes to be aligned in to ensure that people are made accountable for it. There are transparent system, there are fairness in the whole process, and the most importantly, when you're allowing an AI system to interact with the customer, it's critical to be explicitly transparent in terms of it's managing with an AI bot. It's clearly explainable in nature. There are various ways in which you can have an audit trail to make sure that these events are correctly managed. There is a feedback loop in the process, which should also ensure that we are taking timely corrective actions to ensure model drift and concept drifts. On the closing, it's absolutely critical that we have a clearly laid out strategy. Depending on how my AI is going to be implemented across my various organizational processes and structures, making sure that the board is aligned, the C-suites are aligned, making sure that the whole organization work towards it rather than a certain group of people, which includes democratization of the AI knowledge, making the C-suite and the board and the employees of the organization fluent in the AI processes so that they can start contributing to risk. As I engage with a certain AI process, I contribute to risk management exercise. And secondly, it's making sure that the organization is made aware in terms of roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities would be made aware in terms of when AI risk is aware, the AI risk is making sure that we are constantly in the know of these processes. And when it comes to choosing technologies, is very critical. Depending on I'm using a third-party tool or an in-house management tool, the risk is going to be substantially different in terms of how I'm going to manage the whole process. So making sure that it is an intertwined exercise, making sure that it is all a collective model. If we are genuinely interested on this particular process. So by making a responsible AI framework as a bedrock, as a part of the AI development process, we believe that that's going to bring about a huge and a sustained AI progress coming our way. And I urge the audience to take advantage of this emerging area where you can have opportunities in terms of services regarding AI risk management, the utilization of softwares and licenses and creating of products. And while having a robust AI management framework, it can lead to much more larger sustainable results. And I like to thank 3i for the opportunity and to looking forward to the future events to come. Thank you.